Today's wise woman has spent 3 decades helping women grow thriving, purpose-driven businesses without burning out. From a spare room startup to an $18 million company, Susie proves what's possible when women back themselves. Now in their 50s, she's redefining success through well-being, purpose, and reinvention. She is the CEO of HerBusiness, and I love Susie so much because I learn from her. This is a woman who I listen to her podcast, her business and content sells. And I love that you're just so real, Susie. It's so important to me. You don't fluff stuff up. You give us the information. You know that people are time precious. And I love that you're just like, here it is. And that I learned so much from you. So thank you and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. I am so excited about your show. I was just this morning looking back at some of the episodes, some of the great guests you've had. So I'm really honored to be here. And as someone in her late 50s now, not just 50s, late 50s, I
It just gets better.
Thank you for that reassurance because I've got a
it
big
does.
number coming up next year. But I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I have utter just total respect. I met you over 2 decades ago. I remember at a
Yeah.
businesswomen's network meeting something over the Northern Beaches somewhere in Sydney a long time ago.
I've been
And
doing this a long time, but I
doing
love
a
it. You know, I
lot of
still love it all
experience.
these years later. So that's a good thing, I
Yeah,
guess.
that's cool. All right, well, let's jump in.
Mm.
So you are such a cool businesswoman, coach, all those things, mentor. Let's start right there because I meet so many women in that midlife time, and it's like a crossroads. They're doing the what's next for me. Some go, I've been in the corporate world, I've got this idea. Do I,
Yeah.
start my own business? Or they're in their own business and they're doing a fuck, what's next? It's like they've
Mm.
lost that drive with their purpose. And we know
Yeah.
to age strong, fit, and healthy, we need to have a purpose. So let's start there. What do you say to women like that?
I'm having more and more conversations with women who have been doing something for a long time. They've been in their career for a long time, or they've had their own business. In fact, I've had three very good friends in corporate lose their jobs, not singled out, but because that corporate laid off 10,000 people. But I've also been having conversations with women who own their own business, and one of them went like this. She said, I hate going in every day. I don't even want to talk to my staff. I find myself often under my desk crying, going, why am I still doing this? Because I don't know what else to do. This is my identity. I don't know who I am if I don't have this business. And the business is functioning and it's doing well and it's making money, but I just don't love it. And I don't know whether to burn it down, sell it, or what to do, or just walk away, you know? And so I think, regardless of whether we've been in a career a long time, when we get to an age where we don't have to prove ourselves anymore, maybe we're even financially secure, or maybe we're not, but we're at a point where it's like we can see the finish line. And we go, I don't know how I want to spend every day. I don't know if I want to do it in this particular way, working these hours, being with these people. How do I do what I love every day? Which is our tagline, is do what you love every day. So it's a real issue, but I think there are ways to navigate it. And both through the work you're doing, the work I'm doing, there are ways to support these women who find themselves at this, what's next? I'm not happy. I am not on fire. I am not lit up by what I do.
Yeah. So what do you say to them first?
One of the things that I think that we can get away from is why we do what we do. So whether that's your purpose for having your business or the reason why you work at that particular company in that particular role. So the first thing I suggest they do is, so I recommend a remodel. And remodel is a framework that we've been working with women all year. And the first part of the remodel is to realign, to look at what no longer fits the woman I've become. Because who I was 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, have I revisited what do I want now that perhaps my children have grown up, if you have children, or that my body doesn't operate the way it was, or that I now have to care for my aging parents, or that I'm an empty nester. Realigning what we're doing day to day with what our needs are now. And often we just don't take the time to pause and have the headspace to even rethink what we want to do. And then it's about reconnecting with your heart's desire. And I truly believe that we can have anything we want. We just don't often ask ourselves, what do I want? And when we do, it's what do I want, but what will people think? And how does my partner feel about that? And is it okay for me to do that? Am I too old, too young, to whatever? But if we can reconnect to our heart's desire, what do I really want? And then it's about defining your role. This is the job I want. This is how many days I want to work. I know it's not, I don't want to oversimplify it, Jen. I just want to have people say, really get a clear vision for where you want to be going
Mm.
because time goes really quickly. This
Yeah.
year has flown by, and next year's going to do the same. And if we don't have a clear direction of who we want to be, how we want to show up, who we want to be around, what we want to learn, what skills we want to develop, what things we want to stop doing, if we don't take the time to pause to do that, we will just keep rolling on, doing what we're doing, feeling that dissatisfaction, and feeling like our flame is kind of dimmed.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes a lot of people don't know what they don't want, and I think it's one of the most important places to start.
They do know what they don't want, or they don't know
No,
what
they
they don't
don't
want.
know what they don't want.
Really, I find people
Yeah.
not find it easier to say what I don't want than what I do want. So I
Mm.
guess it just depends.
Yeah, where they're at. It's interesting things. If I go back to what really
Mm,
set your career flying, you must have had a little voice or something when you started your company from the spare room, no
mm,
special degrees, no special savings, no anything, turned it into an $18 million company.
mm.
And where
It took
everything
years to
logically
do
said
that.
it shouldn't work, you fucking nailed it.
Well, why I thought it wouldn't work was I had no university degree. I left home before I left high school just because of my family conditions. I prepared for my exams sitting on a beanbag while my brother, who'd been kicked out of home, who I went to live with, was partying in the other room, and I barely scraped by. And even though I loved education, I had to go work once I left school. And so I didn't go to university. And I thought, that's it. Your prospects are gone. You're never going to amount to anything. And then I discovered personal development. I discovered self education. And so I took myself on this learning path. I've put myself in the seat of being a student, whether it was to grow my business or to learn marketing. Just this morning, I was in a filing cabinet. In who has filing cabinets? We have one in the garage. And I opened it up, and there was a marketing certificate from 1989, a course that I went and did after work to learn marketing in 1989. I can't even count how many years that is right now off the top of my head. But I've always just put myself in the way of continuing to educate myself and continuing to put myself around people who are doing the things that I aspire to do, who understand what it's like to be a woman in business, in my case. But for you, if you're listening and you have a corporate role or you have a particular health condition or you have a particular situation, just surrounding with other people who really get what that's like.
Mm.
And so for me, surrounding myself with mentors and peers and teachers from all sorts of backgrounds. See, I've always loved education, but I didn't love the school system. It wasn't really cut out for me, but I've never stopped learning. And I think that those things, community, commitment to my education, being gritty as hell, I'm pretty stubborn. It's like, I'm going to figure this out. And sometimes I figured it out, by going through a whole lot of pain, and sometimes things flowed easier. And so, yeah, I've been in business 30 years, and I was in my 20s when I started, and, with nothing. I got retrenched from a job with $400 payout, a
Mm.
filing cabinet, the one that's still in the garage, and a desk. And the desk is long gone. And so my partner PJ and I, just started to build from nothing. And I have no magic formula, but till this day, I keep, education is the highest form of leverage, someone said to me. And so it is, whether you're listening to a TED talk or this podcast or a great book, or you're putting yourself in a seminar room, if you want to make a transition, like go figure out who has done this? Who can support me? Is it a peer? Is it a mentor? Is it a program? I could talk all day about this.
I get it. I left school at 15. We
Mm,
were super poor. There was no expectation any of us would go past grade 10, 15
yeah,
years
right.
old.
Mm.
And I remember I was working in the pharmacy industry in the 80s, and pharmacists were earning 20 bucks an hour, which was giant. And
Huge then. Yeah.
one of the pharmacists said to me, "Why don't you go back to school and retrain?" I didn't even know you were allowed to go back to school once you finished school. You know what?
Yeah.
I never went back
Wow.
to school and studied to be a pharmacist, but at 23, which is how old I was then, I started doing personal development.
Mm.
My first thing I learned was how to not cry in the boardroom. Serious. It was called
Wow.
image and self-projection. I'll always remember it, but it was how to be a hard ass in the 80s. You know, it was crazy.
Interesting.
You weren't, yeah, how to not cry. I'll never forget that. But at 23, I started the road, same as you, like
Yeah.
just street smart and constantly learning.
Mm.
Yeah, I love it. I think it
And
brings,
now here we are, helping other people learn and being educators ourselves, which again, I
yeah.
didn't see that in my future, but it's what I do.
Well, and I know that, you know, you've done speaking, you know, for forever as well. I remember
Mm,
I did a corporate gig, it was a conference of all upper management, and it was all women. I'm going back 15, 20 years ago.
mm.
Yeah, 20 years ago. And every one of the speakers in the green room, we had all left school at 15 or 16 years old.
Is that right?
Every speaker, like six women,
Oh, interesting.
and yet they were hanging on. They had every piece of paper we would never have,
Mm.
and yet we had the expertise they needed. It really showed me that, yeah, the personal development and just life
Yeah, I think
experience
education any way you can
counts
get
so
it. It doesn't
much.
have to
Yeah,
be traditional education. It's just keep learning, just keep growing your skills. I don't
yeah,
know any successful people in whether they're entrepreneurs or they're employed by someone aren't doing that.
yeah.
Aren't committed to their learning.
I love nowadays. You know, before we came on camera, we were talking about how you're taking groups now for
Mm.
hiking, business brainstormy retreats now. And I think that's
So I
experiential
love a good
stuff is
retreat.
so good. Tell us about
I
that. I
I
think it's
love a good
awesome.
retreat, and I don't mean the let's do breath
No,
work
no,
and
not the
sound
spa one.
bowls and meditate retreats, right? They're great for that. But for business women, what I realize is that we put our heads down, we go, 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 and we rarely raise our head again to go, what do I want? Exactly what we've been talking about. And about 7 years or 8 years ago, I ran my first retreat. It was in Hawaii, and we had 11 women come across. And some of them, they couldn't even tell anyone that they were in Hawaii because they felt so guilty about taking a week off to be in Hawaii. Like, how businessy could it be if it's in Hawaii? And for a week, we reflected on what worked and didn't work. They envisioned the future they wanted. They put him to plan a business plan to execute that. They looked at their messaging and then they looked at, well, how do I now move this forward? Now, those women have gone on to do amazing things. And I thought, okay, there's something in this, not just what I created, the frameworks, the environment, but in just being a way to think. And so we've been running retreats since 2017, it was. And the retreat that I just got back from, they've evolved over the years. This year, I introduced movement because my own learning and peace of mind has increasingly come from movement, doing something, going for a walk, going for a hike, going for a run. And I realized that I love doing that. I love travel. I love business. I thought, what if I can find women who wanted to learn and grow together, do it somewhere beautiful. So this year we went to Wanaka, New Zealand, and then we went to Crete in Greece. And as well as the classroom work, maybe we found out about culture and food and wine and when the olive harvest season is in Greece and how to cook stuffed tomatoes and drink beautiful wine. But we also moved. So we've done hiking. And they're not long hikes, they're like 3 hour hikes. And so you have to have a little bit of fitness. But hey, again, this is taking care of us. We can't just be taking care of our brain. I believe in order for us to have sustainable success, sustainable business, we need to take care of ourselves spiritually, emotionally, physically, all those things. And so our retreats, they're called Business Trailblazers, incorporate a little bit of hiking. So I'm not disclosing the event. I told you the year where we're going next year, but I haven't disclosed it.
I won't
But I
tell
will be
anyone.
disclosing it in the new year.
It's okay. I'll
Yeah,
be,
where we're
wow.
going next year. But what I love about it is that, and I just had someone write to me this morning saying, thank you so much. I just would never have put together that sort of trip myself, where I am doing cultural things and I'm seeing historical places, but I'm also in the classroom and I'm doing hot seats and I'm learning from other women and I'm getting mentoring. And then I might be at a beautiful restaurant having a delicious meal, and in a gorgeous hotel that is, beyond what I've let myself stay in before. It's
Mm,
really about enriching their lives. Yeah.
I love it. There's so much in that.
Mhm.
So when it comes to reinventing, even someone being open to do that kind of trip like you're talking about,
Mm.
how do you think women know that it's time to pivot than push harder? Because traditionally, our generation, my generation,
Yeah.
well and truly, it was just all push, 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 push. And I've learned through, working with energy, if we push, we actually push further away. It doesn't work.
Mm.
We just push and burn out. How do we recognize the difference of when to do which?
Well,
How do you do that?
I can't say I'm an expert at it. I know that I come from a work hard mentality, and I've always kind of pushed and used my grit and my, putting in long hours, doing hard work. But that gets exhausting and it's not very rewarding. And so for me, part of it is planning my year. Like right now, I'm planning the next year, and the first things that are going in there is my time away. I'm going to New York City for 6 months. I'm going to run my business from there. Why? I love New York City. I know that when I'm in a different environment, I get more creative. I see opportunities. I see inspiration. I'm going to keep running my business. I'm putting my retreats on the calendar, both retreats I might attend and retreats I might run. I'm putting the things on the calendar that are going to be part of what a mentor of mine calls your life resume. So it's not just the things for business, it's the things that I'm going to look back on my life and go, ah, I did that. So just earlier this week, I signed up for an endurance hike in Lake Tahoe next October. It's going to kick my butt just to train for it. But they're the things that I'm
Yeah.
putting on my calendar first because they're the things that are life kind of goals.
Yeah.
And then around that, I'm going to go, okay, great. What's the business doing next year? And I'll work with my team to say what projects we're going to do, when they're going to happen, who's going to do what, etc. And so I've learnt to do that because before what used to happen is I would just put all the work commitments in, all the projects, all the marketing, all the campaigns, and then I would squeeze my life into what was remaining. And I had one of my clients say the other day, I haven't had a vacation for me for 7 years. I'm like, what?
Mm.
You run your own business. You chose that because you wanted something else. If you were in a job, someone would force you to take vacation, right? And use up your leave. So we need to just start to put ourselves first. Because for
So,
so many of us, we just leave ourselves to last. And you are your best investment. If you are not performing at your highest level, on every level, as I said, physically, spiritually, mentally, all those areas, then it's really hard to have a successful business. Something's going to give at some point, and maybe it'll be your health, or maybe it'll be messing up a big client opportunity. So I don't know the how, but for me, it's just planning. Like, do it now. As you look at the next year, I know this episode is going to air at the end of the year, at the end of this year. So have a look at the next year. How much you is in that schedule, in your plan? Maybe you don't even have a plan. You know,
mm. What are your not
you or I can
negotiables
give
that
people
people?
a planner, right?
Yeah, I'm a planner. I'm a
You
planner.
know,
I am, but I teach people to put their home life in with it.
yeah,
I run one diary. My work
right,
and everything's in one. Everything
yeah,
from date night to take the dog for the walk.
mm,
Everything is in there because if I
yeah,
don't, yeah, I miss
yeah.
bits.
I remember Richard Branson, who's one of my favorite
Oh,
entrepreneurs, saying, "You don't have a business life and a home life. You just have a
you
life.
have a
There's
life.
only so many days. There's only so much time. So, what do you want to put in it?" And I love that perspective ever since I heard it. And he's absolutely right.
Yeah, I learned it from him too. What are your not negotiables that you do for your own physical, emotional, mental, spiritual health that you do of a day, like daily rituals that are not
Yeah.
negotiable?
My not negotiables
Not
are,
negotiables.
yeah, my not negotiables. So, for the longest time, through my 20s, through my 30s, when I was really growing my business, is when I grew the $18 million businesses. Um, all I did was work. I'd work. I was working across 3 time zones. I would get up really early. Then Australia would come on. I was living in America. Australia would come online in the afternoon, and I'd be working into the evening. I'd be eating in front of the television with a bottle of wine next to me that my partner and I were sharing. That went south after doing that for a few years. And my exercise was I signed up to a gym. I'd go on and off for about 3 months, and then I'd get too busy and I'd stop going. Like the frequency became. So anyway, when I was turned 40, just before I turned 40, I was on the phone to my marketing coordinator, and all of a sudden everything went black, and I landed on the floor. And PJ was downstairs and he heard the thud. And he came upstairs and he walked me to the bathroom, and I was very, very ill. And I came to, and then I had a series of tests, which thankfully I'm fine. But there were a couple of markers that were not good. And I went, okay, my body's telling me something has to change. And I don't want that for anyone. And so we closed down the business in the US. We sold the Australian business. There were other reasons to do those things, but this was like the, okay, something better change. And I came back to Australia and I joined a gym. And now that sounds like the most simple thing. But what happened was I started to find a way to exercise, a way to move my body that I know was helping me not only physically, but very much mentally. And so I've had a personal trainer or belong to a gym for about 18 years now. And it's pretty much my non-negotiable. When I'm traveling, yes, I exercise less, but I go to the gym and I run. And running really is my savior in a lot of ways. I'm not a fast runner. I don't run overly often, but when I do, it's kind of this reprieve. So it's my non-negotiable is that I do some sort of physical activity. The other thing, which is again, I've just built into a habit, is I used to get eczema. I would lose weight, put on weight. I've never been an overly overweight person, but my health wasn't great and my skin would definitely show it was when I wasn't treating myself well. And so I cleaned up my act. I discovered what my body likes to eat and what it doesn't like in it. And so I've become a lot more rigid in eating well 90% of the time. If I come to your house, I'm sure you eat very healthy, but not everyone does.
Yeah, but 80,
But I will eat
90% of
whatever
the
you give
time,
me,
we're the
you know?
same.
Yeah.
We're 100%. I meet too many people who go, I'm going to 100%. And 2 days in, they're going, it's not sustainable.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
teach
yeah,
80, 90% of the time. That's
yeah,
lifestyle. That's
yeah,
sustainable. So, no, you'd get a
yeah.
very realistic meal with us if you want.
But I'm like, if I'm come to your house and
Yeah.
well, I'm going to eat whatever you cook. I'm going to go out. I'm going to have all the bread. I'm going to have all the
Yeah.
things I wouldn't normally eat. And again, none of these things are bad. I don't want her to think she's going, oh, we shouldn't eat. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying just find what's right for your body.
Moderation for
And so
yourself.
for me, having my body be as healthy as it can be is one of my not negotiables. So I will stray. I've just been away for 7 weeks. I did minimal exercise. I ate and drank everything anyone put in front of me. But now I'm back. And this week, I'm back on track. I'm back in my routine. And so my not negotiables are that I wish I had a not negotiable about bedtime. I'm not great at that. It varies.
Really important one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And we all get to draw the line somewhere. So, if you're
Mm.
balancing out the other areas, you can get away with it
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
It's a big one. You've mentored thousands of women in business and continue to mentor so many
Yeah.
women in business. What do you think separates, like really bottom line separates those who are able to grow and scale their business
Mm.
versus the ones who get stuck in that, the mentality, the hustle?
Yeah, some of us are like big ideas people, and some of us are more detailed people. And I think that both are strengths and both are weaknesses. And I think it's a matter of women who know who they are. And so if I know that I'm a big picture person, but in order to run a business, I need to have systems and processes and a plan and stability for my team, then I bring people around me who can build in those structures to be successful. If I'm a detailed person and I'm not very good at asking for help, like it's really about so having a reality check on what it takes to be successful. And it doesn't take just our skill. You're great with natural methods of
Yep.
health. You're great with energy, all those things. I came into my business good at marketing, but I didn't know how to manage people at all. I didn't know much about technology. I didn't plan in those days, definitely did not budget in those days. But the people who do well realize that there are some foundational things that every good business has working for them. And either I have those skills, I learn those skills, or I bring someone in or work with someone that has those skills. Because we can't just grow a business because we're good at marketing or because we're good at delivery or because we understand the numbers. And so staying in the learner seat, getting the right people around you. One of my mentors used to say, you never want to be the smartest person in your business. You
Mm.
always want to bring people around you that are
Yeah.
better than you at some things. And I know in my team, there are definitely people that are better than me at administration, at financials, at graphic design. Like, don't get me anywhere near any of those things. At copywriting, I know what I'm good at, and knowing what you're good at and knowing what your strengths are, and knowing that your role is to run the business. Like, if women could get into that business owner thinking rather than self-employed
Working one.
thinking, they're
Yeah.
two different things. The self-employed person is the business. They do all the things and they pride themselves on being the business. But that person has a really hard time walking away, having a break, having any residual income because they're exchanging their time for money usually.
Mm.
A business owner relies on people and systems and planning. and leverage to grow their business. And they're two very different personalities. And we can go from one to the other, but if we stay stuck in one, in the self-employed mentality, we can burn out and we get tired. And we get to our late 50s and we're like, here I am. I'm the bookkeeper. I provide bookkeeping, so it's only me. I don't have anything saleable. I, what are my options?
Yeah. And it becomes false economy.
Yeah.
They're doing that versus producing more income in their business and
Yeah,
the right
absolutely.
people around them.
And yeah, so having the foundations, doing the things like clearing their time to create a vision, turning up to events, listening to podcasts. It sounds really simple, but it really is. The ones that get stuck, the ones also that are kind of have these unrealistic. Like I'm very ambitious and I want people to have big dreams, but you've got to underpin them with some foundations,
Yeah.
some planning, some marketing, some budgeting. You can't have a successful business and never look at your numbers and not know what's happening and not know the difference between revenue and profit.
Mm.
I was talking to someone the other day and she said, I look at my bank balance, but I don't look at my profit and loss. I'm like, well, your bank balance doesn't tell you anything,
No.
right? It just tells you how much money's in there right now, but how much do you owe? How much are things costing? Do you know what's left at the end of the day? And so, and I'm not a numbers expert, and you never want me doing your finances, but
No,
I
but
have
we
someone
have
who
good
gives me
people who do it
reports.
for us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have
Same.
reports and I look at them and I go, okay, that's working or that's not working, or I need to pull back here or I need to push there. Even if it's not sexy, right? Even if we don't think it's sexy, there's parts of running a business that are just essential to good business. And if you don't have your own business, this conversation about money applies to women everywhere,
Yeah.
right? Because women, often we have less in our super because we've been earning less in our jobs, right? It's kind of, we have earn less at entry level into the corporate world. We continue to earn less. We leave having earned less. We have, less in our super, or
Less
if
super,
that's
less
what it is.
everywhere.
But
Yeah.
if we can educate ourselves on investing, on how to have our money grow, on even if you want to start a side hustle to bring in some extra income or to transition from being in your job to having, all those are possibilities. And you and I were having this conversation, like with a number of people being laid off at the moment, some
Mm.
of you might be thinking, yeah, I'm at this tricky age. Re-entering the workforce might be hard because there's a 30-something-year-old gunning for my job.
Yeah.
What could I do? What you have is experience. What you have is knowledge. How could you put that to use? How
Wisdom.
could you turn that into a revenue stream?
Yeah. Agree. And I think so many women don't value that. They compare themselves to the 30-year-old, and it's like, far out. I'll take the life experience of someone who's older any
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
To
But,
go,
I mean, and again, there's friends of mine who have just been retrenched or taken redundancy, late 40s, late 50s. It's hard to turn up to an interview where perhaps even the interviewer
oh,
is someone much younger.
yeah,
You look old,
yeah,
perhaps out of date. Like, so it's shitty, really. Sorry for swearing. It's
yeah.
shitty,
No,
but
I,
it's the
I say better
reality.
than
So how
that.
do we take
Yes.
control? And if you are going to
Yeah,
flip into having your own business, then find the right people, find the right networks, find the right mentors who can help you make that transition
yeah,
to replace your salary or to create something that's right for who you are now and the way that you want to work and live moving forward.
yeah, big time. I've always considered, I remember, oh God, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, I learned about the power of the five people who are around us the most.
Yes, yes, yes.
Branson's always been one in my head. He's one of my five. I
He's
feel like
one of,
everything he writes does anything, and
really.
I'll be doing stuff and I'll think, oh, what would Richard do?
Oh, that's fantastic. I worked for Virgin in my 20s. It was my
Ah,
favorite
did
job
you?
of all the jobs I have. Yeah, for three
Ah,
years. When they were first opening up the Virgin megastores here in Australia, I worked for them and I had the opportunity to meet him at staff events a couple of times. But
wow.
he's one of my people for sure that
Yeah,
I
same. I'm dyslexic, he's dyslexic. And I think if he can do it and still I cannot read things right, it's like he inspires me. He always has.
yeah. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think it's important to be inspired, to have people around you that do
Mm.
do inspire you, and they can be in all sort of
They don't have to be
areas.
physically here. We can
Mm.
listen to their work, listen to podcasts and read books and do all those things
Yeah, yeah.
and put them in our brain more. Yeah.
Mm.
What are you reading at the moment, Susie Daphnis?
I just bought a book. I'll grab
What'd you
it.
buy your book? Tell me. Always
I
curious.
have
I
to
know you're a
say,
big book girl.
I am guilty of buying a lot of books and these days reading less and
Same.
less. For the longest time, I had a webinar series called Booked for Lunch. And so every month I would interview a business book author. And so I'd be required to read the book in order to do a good interview. And, I might read two because I wasn't sure who I was going to interview. And that's kind of gone out the door a little bit. But one of the things that I offer our members inside of her business is I send them books every year.
Mm.
So I'm always auditioning books. So anyway, do you know this book, The Pivot Year?
No, but I'll sure write it down.
So I haven't started it yet, and I'll tell you what it says. It says, "This is the year you change your life.
Oh,
If you're in a pivot period, if you're still bridging the space between where you are and where you want to be, remember that the person you're becoming is already within you." So someone recommended it to me. So I can't really endorse it, but it sounds good so far, right?
it sounds like a current piece of information for women our age.
And if I look at it, you know what it is? It's every day there's a little couple of passages, I
Right.
guess, that are inspiring. I will dig
Okay.
into it and I will let you know.
I
But
will check it out.
one of my mentors said you can't learn less. So that's it. I'm
No,
sure I'll learn something.
I
You
get
know?
something out of every book. I love it.
Yeah, I love it. And I
It,
still love a paper book. I've got Kindle, I've got
um,
audiobooks, but I still like
yeah. I've
to get
taught
my hands
myself
on paper.
audio because I wasn't an auditory person and I
Mm.
wanted to learn to be better. And so I listen to audio first and then I'll buy the paper book if I want. Because
Right. And then I open it up
discipline
on
to learn
Kindle
to be.
Reader. I
Yeah.
get the Kindle, then I open up Kindle Reader and I mark it up. It's like, if I'm reading a book because I'm going to interview the author, I will have it in all the formats.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes I'll be listening to something while I'm walking,
Yeah.
but I bought a paper one. I don't know why, but
I still like paper books too.
I still like paper books. And I
Yeah.
send people paper books. And I buy hundreds of books every year and give them away
Yeah.
because they've just been such big teachers for me.
Mm,
You know? Mm.
agree. So you talk about the inner game of business
Yeah, I
and,
do.
have you had to personally navigate burnout? You kind of touched on it before. Self-doubt,
Yeah, that
midlife
was one.
moments. What have you had to
Yeah.
navigate, especially in the last 10
So
years?
I want to explain the inner game of business because when I'm talking with women business owners, so often we're talking about planning and marketing and systems and technology and team and financials and all those things. But inside of our world at her business, we have an area which is you. And so it's all well and good to have all the skills, but if you're not taking care of yourself, your education, your well-being, you're not striving for what your heart desires, the rest don't really matter. And so the outer game of business is those things that we can see. I'm hiring a team, I'm putting Facebook ads. The inner game is how do I feel about me? How am I talking to myself? How do I feel about my vision? Do I feel lost? Do I feel right inside my skin? And so I like to talk these days almost more about the inner game, to be honest, than
Mm,
the outer game. Because you can learn the outer game, but if you do not get your mindset in the right place, then the rest doesn't matter. Your grit, your confidence, not feeling like an imposter, putting yourself forward, all those things that make us go, they're the things that I really like to talk about. How do I really show up as me? How do I show up more authentically? They're the conversations I want to have. And so for me, going back to your point, so one of my big burnout moments was that one where I was talking to my staff member, Lisa, and I ended up on the floor. And then many, many years went by. And then I noticed myself kind of feeling like I was in a grind. This was happening about 18 months ago. And I thought, I feel like it's happening again. I didn't feel the physical pressure. I'm much fitter than I was then. I'm taking much better care of myself. As I said, I'm exercising. But I just started to feel like our tagline at her business is do what you love every day. And I was not doing what I loved every day. I was like looking at certain projects and going, do I still love doing that? Is this the sort of person I want to work with? And I made some changes. So when I talked earlier about the remodel, I realigned the vision for the business. I went, who is it that I want to really work for? And I found for me that the women that I most enjoy working with are women who have established businesses. So they're not people who are thinking of getting into a business or have an idea for a business or like have one toe in and the rest of their body out. It's women who have been in business 5, 10, 15, 20 years and they're looking to make a transition. When I identified who I really want to work with, it's like things lifted. Then I looked at, well, what are my offers? What do I sell? And I identified some things that I was bored with or were no longer profitable. Or I've been doing them because I've always done them and because people like them, but I didn't like them.
So I changed up my offerings. So I looked at my ideal client, I looked at what I was selling, and then I was looking at how was I showing up. And sometimes in business, when we're running a business, we're trying to grow a business, we look to see what other people are doing. And sometimes we think, well, I should also be doing that. Should I be dancing on TikTok? And the answer was no. I should not. So I'm like, so okay, so how am I going to do it? How am I going to show up? And
Mm,
so for me, over the last year especially, I've been doing a lot of work on me and saying, well, how do I want to present myself? I mean, I've always been, and you've known me for a long time. I present very professional, very
absolutely.
calm, very calm. But what people don't see is the woman that screams at her computer because it's not doing the right thing, or that ends up in a pool of tears after mentoring someone because her heart's broken for what they're going through, you know? And so I thought this year, you know what, I can keep it all together, and that's great. And my community wants me to have my shit together. But also, what if I showed up a little more vulnerably?
Yeah, I was going to
What
say,
if I
yeah, to show
shared
that you're human.
that is some of my stories. And so for me, and I've now forgotten your question, I've redefined what my role is. I've redefined what my how I want to show up. And it's hard, especially for someone who has had success, has had failures, to say, that's my identity and I'm not getting rid of it, but I'm just going to put more truth into it, more of me into it, care less about judgment, which I do and many people do.
Yeah.
And it's just you may not even notice it from the outside, but people have written me and said something's changed. You're doing
Mm.
something different. You're speaking differently. I'm loving it. I'm loving learning more about you and your story because I thought, I've been doing this for a long time. People know what I do. I don't need to share stories. But in 30 years, I've accumulated a lot of experience and a lot of stories that could help someone. And so kind of not answering your question. I don't know if this is useful, but it's been about just going, who do I want to be now? Now
Mm.
that I've grown up, who do I want to be? How do I want to show up? I've got a big birthday next year. And it's like, okay, who am I now? Am I being true to what I need right now? And I went, yeah, I want more lifestyle. I want more. I love my business. I love my clients. I love all those things. How do I do it more my way? What does that look like?
That's actually that's a part that happens to us hormonally in life. When our estrogen is high when we're younger,
Yeah.
that built in to have to nurture thing is there. It's you can't stop it. It's just built into us as women. And then as we age and we start getting through our 50s, and I promise in the 60s it just gets better because you care deeper.
Mm.
However, you really don't care because haven't we haven't got the estrogen. It's what you were just saying. And our
Yeah.
stories are what carries our wisdom. I've got a nonna friend, Italian a nonna friend,
Mm.
and she says to me, Jen, you sit around the table and you have your meal together, and that's where the stories go. How can
Yeah.
they learn the wisdom if you don't sit and share a meal and stuff? And she says that our stories are what carries our wisdom out
Isn't
into
that
the world.
beautiful? Go,
Ah,
Nonna.
yeah,
Brava. Tell her.
yeah,
I've been
so
learning
cool.
Italian today 333 on Duolingo. And do you think I could string two sentences together? No, but I know a lot of words.
And which means you'll get through when you go there one day. Yeah.
One day. I don't know when.
Yeah. So keep telling your stories because
Yeah.
that's what anchors the wisdom.
Yeah. And so, just pulling them out, remembering, oh, that is a story, oh, that is a story. And just now
Yeah.
I have a place where I'm like just doing, oh, that's a story I could tell, or that's a story that's useful, or I'll share something inadvertently. Someone will go, oh, that was really great. I got a lot out of that. So I was sharing the story about, I was on a stage earlier this year. It's a beautiful conference that I was invited to speak at. I was so honored. And I shared a story about having gone through this period of situational depression. And what I was saying, without going into detail, was that once I recognized that I wasn't depressed, it wasn't like a clinical depression, it was a situation. And once the situation, I made a decision and moved on, life got better. And this woman, about 3 months later, I saw her about a month ago. She said, I just want to let you know that one thing that you said changed my life. She said, because I have been sitting in this
Mm.
thing for about 18 months. And it wasn't until I realized if I can just remove myself from the situation, it will all change. She said, and everything changed. And so that was a story that I did not know was going to impact that woman in that way. And so, yeah, to what you said, let's keep telling our
Tell the
stories
stories.
courageously.
Yeah. And
Yeah, because we can judge
vulnerably.
ourselves. It's like, who needs to hear that? Or I don't want to be rabbiting on, or I don't want to take up too much air. And that's not it. It's like if we tune in to what is needed and wanted right now when we're
Mm.
communicating with someone, we will find the right story, the right tone, the right message that we can
Yeah.
share from our experience. And that is precious and it's unique to us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. And physically, hormonally, our body, it's how it wants to share. The whole
Interesting. I haven't
thrive.
heard that.
Yeah, it's a thing. And you're physically, you're you're showing up different. It's actually showing in your body now.
Mm.
So explore it, because I promise that's
Oh, thank you. I
what my
appreciate that.
TED Talk's about. And the stories are it. We've got so much to offer at this age that the
Mm,
30-year-old can't physically. I see these 25, 30-year-old experts, influencers and things on socials, and I think
mm.
you need another 30 years under your belt. And sometimes I think, am I being the grumpy oldie? Or is it true that they need the life
Being the grumpy
experience?
old.
Or are they the 20, 30s have got the experience for the 15, 18-year-olds? We
One of
just
my
have
mentors,
choice.
an author of a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, his name's
Yeah.
Robert Kiyosaki. He was visiting Australia last year, and as he has done through our whole relationship, he bought me a book. He's bought me books, me and PJ books over the years, and he gave me this book. And Jen, do you think I can remember the name of it? I will let you know. But he said, I feel like this is the right time for you to read this. He said it was the right time for me to read it. And basically the essence of the story, and it's a New York Times best-selling book, so you probably know it, was really about how once we reach, sometimes it's even in our 40s, and we go from being that push, 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 drive, 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 this is how I add value to people, to others, to my own life,
Yeah.
to becoming not the elder so much, but really leaning on our experience as being our strength, not our ability to grind, not our,
Yeah.
not our quick-wittedness or our ability to push or put in the long hours, but really on our experience and our knowledge. And if I remember the book before we finish up, I'll tell you, but otherwise I will let you know. But the point I wanted to make is that there's like scientific evidence of
Yeah.
what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There is. Suzi Dafnis, if you could go back to your 18-year-old self, talking
Oh
about all
my
the
gosh.
young'uns,
All the
what with the
youngins.
wisdom you've got today, moving into your years, the Greek
Yeah.
years, like what would you tell her?
I would tell her that she didn't have to have it all figured out,
Mm.
that she didn't have to know what her career path was going to be, that she could just try a few things, have more fun. Not because, as I said, I left school, I moved out of home, I needed to work, etc. I was like, go in, find a good job, get a promotion, da, 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 da. And I think, oh, if I could have gone back there, I might have just spent a few years going, let me try this for a bit, let me try that for a bit, instead of being like, I've got to get this right. I would have said that. I would have said also that your past doesn't define your future. Like if I knew that earlier, it's like your upbringing does not define your future. What's happened in your life up until now, tomorrow is a new day. You can choose again. You can choose differently. We can't erase the past, but what we can do is create the future. I think that's what I would say to her.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Perfect way to
Thank
stop.
you. Thank you for having me. I've loved chatting with
Thanks.
you.
So good. You have got so much to offer the world, really. I love
Thank
it.
you.
Keep doing what
Thank
you're
you.
doing, the women of the
I'm on a
world.
mission.
Yeah, yeah. And you can help so many women who have got so much to still contribute to the world. So thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you. Thank you.